So I've been making a lot of videos lately about authentic living, and I think the best way to explain authentic living and what I mean by that is to explain it through a scenario that I think we're all familiar with. And so just imagine yourself, I'm sure you've been in this situation multiple times in your life. Imagine yourself in a room full of people, and something happens in that room. Maybe it's a joke or a topic of conversation or something, and everyone responds in a particular way. Let's just use the example of a joke. So someone makes a joke, everyone laughs, and you're sitting there, and something inside of you tells you this joke isn't funny or it's inappropriate or whatever it might be. But everybody's laughing, and so you feel the need to join in. And that's a little picture of what I'm talking about here. Something inside of you would prefer not to act that way. There's this lack of resonance within you regarding what's going on, yet you join in anyway because it would be odd for you not to fall in line with their behavior. So everyone's laughing at the joke, you laugh along with them. Everyone's talking about something in a particular way that you don't necessarily agree with, but you join in anyway. And it's a small compromise in that scenario. But if we're not careful, this type of compromise can seep into our entire lives. And here's what I mean by that. You'll start to live every moment of every day in this state of misalignment. Slowly but surely, you'll lose touch with that inner voice inside of you that's telling you that something is off or out of alignment or there's a lack of resonance. And here's the problem with that. That voice is telling you what you truly enjoy and value. It's telling you where to go to find deeper purpose, passion, fulfillment, and freedom in your life. And I want to point out a couple of things here. Number one, do you see how your response in that moment, if we go back to that room, do you see how your response is false or fake? Do you see how this subtle behavior is not you showing people your true self? If you were to show them your true self, you wouldn't laugh at the joke. You'd just sit there. Instead, you're putting up a false front or projecting an image of yourself into the world that you believe will be more accepted than your true self. And so you're acting fake. Now, a lot of times when we talk about people acting fake, we're talking about a much sort of more extravagant display of fakeness than that. But it is just a subtle fakeness there, a subtle inability or lack of desire to show people your true self. And do you see how this is living your life for the sake of others instead of for yourself? In short, you perceive that others would respond poorly if you didn't act a certain way, so you act that way instead of acting the way that you want to act, regardless of the opinion of others. And if you do this long enough, you'll cause yourself a great deal of misery. That disconnect between your internal guidance system and your external actions will create tension, frustration, resentment, and dissatisfaction in your life. And you'll try to bottle it up or numb it for a little while, but no matter how hard you try, it will spill over into your other relationships. And it's not an enjoyable way to live. And the solution to this problem is super simple. It's simply to be you. When that something inside of you would rather act or react differently, you have to do that. But so often we're pulled out of that by the activities of others. And when we do act in accord and alignment with that deeper voice, this way of living provides incredible benefits to a person. It was a huge game changer for me, but it was difficult. It made me feel uncomfortable to be the person in the room who wasn't laughing when everyone else was. It made me feel uncomfortable to tell someone that I didn't like how they were interacting with me, and so on and so forth. Fear came on strong for me. And I was worried that people would get mad at me or they would leave our relationship, and some did, but that was all for the better. Here's a couple of ways that living that way really was helpful for me. First, it was a great tool for weeding out that which was not for me. And so here's an example. If you're in a room full of people who are laughing at something you don't think is funny, then rather than trying to make yourself think it's funny or join the group, perhaps you say, "These aren't my people. We don't have the same sense of humor." This doesn't mean that you're better than them or vice versa, but it's important to find the people in life with whom you vibe. And if you keep presenting a false front to the world, you're only going to find people with whom your false front vibes with. and not who you in your realness and authenticity vibes with, which will keep all of your connections and relationships at a super shallow level, and you'll find yourself starving for connection. And humans who are starving for connection often do all sorts of unhealthy things to try and find connection. And they make themselves more and more miserable over time. Let me give you another example. Let's say you're in a job interview, and rather than simply being yourself, true, honest, open, vulnerable, all of those things, you decide to put up a false front to try and impress the person in front of you. And what happens is you get the job, but who got the job? Your false front got the job. You didn't get the job. And the job itself might not be a great fit for you. In fact, if you're truthful, you might miss out on that job, but that's a great tool for you to figure out what is for you and what's not for you. And the second way that this was a huge benefit to my life is it helped me have a deeper sense of self-respect and satisfaction. When you're constantly compromising and trying to fit yourself into the expectations of others, you lose respect for yourself over time. On some level, you start to think, why can't I just grow a backbone and be myself? You become frustrated with yourself. You become dissatisfied with your life. But when you take that control back, you regain that self-respect and satisfaction. And one thing I hear in opposition to this approach often is, my true self would be mean. If I wouldn't laugh at someone's joke, even if it's not funny, it will make them feel bad, and that's mean. First of all, no, it's not. If you think about it on a deeper level, you realize that you laughing at their joke when it's not funny is you lying to them. You're giving them some false perception of what they're doing in this world being hilarious when in reality it's not. So the lie is what's mean. Also, if you're laughing, you're kind of giving them just a pity laugh. That's mean as well. It's not an authentic laugh. It's a laugh that says, I pity you. I think you're fragile. I don't think I can show you the truth. And therefore, I'm just going to give you a pity laugh. It shows your lack of trust in their ability to receive difficult information. And the most loving thing you can do for a person is simply to be honest with them. And if you can, do it in a loving manner. And when they don't have truth, they can't make adjustments in life. They keep receiving nothing but pity laughs. They're going to keep making jokes that aren't funny. And they're going to keep connecting with people on a shallow and false level. And so the solution here to overcome the dissatisfaction, the frustration, the resentment, and if those things are going on in your life on a deep level, maybe look at this as a possible cause for that happening in your life. Am I truly being myself in the world, or am I having to try and shape myself for the world? And that is causing some level of tension and resistance and frustration and dissatisfaction and resentment within me. And if that's the case, all you have to do is get back into alignment with that deeper voice and start to take the action that that deeper self is telling you to take, as opposed to trying to fit yourself into the mold of all of these people around you. And it's really a perceived mold. You don't even know. You could find out that as you stop trying to fit into that mold and start being your true self, all of a sudden, these people actually love you more. They appreciate you more. You connect with them on a deeper level, and so on and so forth. But when you're trying to be that dancing monkey, you're trying to be that circus animal, just trying to trying to perform and capture the affirmation of everyone, you end up losing yourself in the process. And the person who has lost him or herself is a person that is destined for misery. If you want to regain a sense of self-respect, purpose, passion, fulfillment, and freedom, you have to act in alignment with that deeper, truer sense of who you are.